Hey guys, Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Daybreak Press Live. I'm Najiyah and usually I have a guest and we talk about either their books, sometimes we'll be talking to authors in general, sometimes we'll talk to other publishers. We have a whole array of different people lined up for Daybreak Press Live, but today we're going to do a writing tip. Alhamdulillah, we have lots of different resources that we can get writing tips from. For example, you can read books, you can watch YouTube, you can watch the dreaded TikTok. There's a site of TikTok called Book Talk where everyone posts about the books that they like. There's author talk. So there are all kinds of places that we can get tips and tricks. And I love to kind of sample from all of those places and get different tips that I can use both for my own writing and also for the classes that I teach. So in the fall, we teach creative writing, and I think that the class is actually called Raise Your Voice, Creative Writing for Muslim Women. And we teach that in the fall semester. And a lot of the times we have, there's topic areas that in that class that are completely the same every semester. And there are also topic areas, more of them actually, that grow with each semester. They kind of grow, they morph, they change, they get more clarity. And one of the things that has really honed in on itself or provided us a really great laser focus on itself is character development. Now, character development is something that when people start writing, even like young children, when they start writing, it's very focused on the physical. People write things like, she had red hair and freckles, her and glasses. It's kind of a very almost choppy kind of description that people write when they first begin to write. And then as you begin to write more, you can smooth it out a little bit more and weave it into the narrative. So, for example, she might walk by a mirror and see her hair, or walk by a mirror and for the millionth time wish she wasn't covered with freckles, for example. So this is a way to tell the reader that she has freckles without going, by the way, she has freckles, And then later you might say, she slid her glasses on top of her head. For example, now the reader knows through action of the character that the character wears glasses. So they didn't have to be specifically told that the character wears glasses. Now, this technique of weaving in the descriptions of the character goes beyond the physical. There are canonically, or what a lot of the books talk about, there are 4 ways to reveal character, and that is by description, by action, by dialogue, and by thoughts. Okay? So pardon me, we already talked about an example of description. So by action, maybe your character has a nervous habit. And you don't point it out as a nervous habit. You just say, for example, Jonathan bounced his knee while he thought about the answer. And then again later, maybe, Jonathan's knee wiggled while he tried to put the puzzle together. So you can just reveal slowly as you go along that each character, that a particular character has a particular nervous habit or gesture or way of walking. There are lots of different ways that you can describe your character through action. Of course, now, if your character's girlfriend breaks up with him, for example, and he responds by going into a deep depression, that reveals a lot about his character. If he responds by shooting her, that would reveal a lot about his character. If he responds by, burying himself in his work, that's character. If he responds by skipping work, that's character. So a lot of what our characters do doesn't just move the plot forward, it also reveals a lot about the character. And one of the goals of a good writer is to make the character and the setting and all of those things really feel to the reader like they're part of the action, like that they're part of what they want to know. They don't just want to know what happens next. They want to know who it is that it's happening to, so they can really relate to that person and they can really experience it as if they're experiencing it along with the characters. Now, one of the things that is not often, the next one is dialogue. Of course, dialogue can reveal so much about your characters. Like what kind of person says, for example, "How do you do? It is such a pleasure to meet you." Okay, when I speak like that, when the words that I choose are that formal, you picture a specific kind of person. If I say, "Yo, what up, dog?" Did you picture the same person? Of course not. You don't know anything else about this person. Nothing. All you know is the way they speak. It still begins to help you form a picture of what kind of person you might be dealing with. So not only the specific things that the character talks about that are related to the plot, those of course reveal character, but even the way the character speaks reveals things about his character. Now, one that's not included on the list, but one that I like to include in my classes is ambiance or environment. You can tell a lot about a person by the things they own, by the things they surround themselves with. I read a book called Snoop. I don't remember who it was by, but it was Snoop, S-N-O-O-P. And the subtitle was something like what people can tell from what you own, or something like that. So fascinating, so incredible. So like, for example, if I tell you that a character goes into their bedroom that is filled with sports posters and sports equipment and an unmade bed and a desk that's messy, like what kind of person do you picture? If I tell you that a character's bedroom contains 3 photos on the nightstand, all of the same person, and an analog clock, alarm clock, lack of chargers, no chargers anywhere, a very neatly made bed with a home quilted quilt. All right, you kind of get a picture of a person. Like, you can even determine gender. What kind of gender do you think that person is? Right? How many Luddite males do you know that have home quilted quilts as their quilt on their bed? Maybe it is a guy. Maybe it is a guy, and that reveals something about his personality. But when you're first reading it, that suggests to you a female. So as an author, you can use those kind of things both to reveal character immediately and to surprise your audience with, like you've led them to believe that your character is one kind of person, and then, ta-da, surprise, it turns out they're a different kind of person, but that their environment still fits the kind of person they are. One of the things that this book talked about was that there's a difference between internal things that you show and external. So for example, some things are for your own self, like when you have a desk at work and facing you on the desk is a picture of your family and a clock and a lamp and a picture of your dog. And then facing out toward the person who's sitting on the other side of your desk, there are behind you diplomas. There's a little, those little stands that hold your business cards, stuff like that. There are those kind of things that are projected outward. You can tell from this that this person wants to remind themselves of their family and their dog and their personal life. They want to be in contact of a sort with their family and their dog and their personal life while they're at work. But for the people that come into their office, they want to project professionalism and qualification, and they want to appeal to the person's respect. So the person may come in and think, whoa, this person is dry. They don't have any personal effects or, like what pictures of their family or anything. But actually the pictures of their family are facing toward them because they want to hold those people in their hearts. Now think of the opposite. Imagine you go into the office of a person and facing you are pictures of the family, pictures of the dog, little personal knickknacks like shells that they picked up at the beach or things like that. And facing them are none of those things. What this tells you about the person is that they want to project to the outside world the image that they care about their family and their vacations and their dog. Not necessarily that they really do care about them. Of course, they may care about them and they want to show everybody how proud they are of them. But it's also possible that they're projecting an image. So there's a difference between the things we have in our personal spaces, which are very often closer to what we really are, and the things that we project outward to the outside world that we want other people to see us as. We want people to see us as, for example, a person who's neat and tidy, so that maybe our living room is spotless, but our bedroom is a disaster. Maybe we want to project to the outside world that we are a family man, but really we're like on the verge of divorce and we could care less and whatever. So these are all different things that you can play with when you're describing the environment that your characters are operating in. You can not only describe characters that way, but you can have other characters interpret another character's personality by those things. Like somebody, for example, might come into an office and say, oh my God, this person is so dry, and just assume that they're not nice and they're not touchy-feely and they don't care about their family. And then later on they find out different, or the opposite, which is probably more fun to write, right? All right, so those ways of getting character across or revealing your characters. I love the word revealing because it's not like building a character, like you're creating a character. It's like the character exists and you're revealing them to the reader, to the audience. So obviously they already exist in your mind, and the ways you choose to reveal them can be fun and can be part of the plot and move things forward and fascinate the reader. So those are action, dialogue, thought, description, and environment. So what other ways do you reveal character? Leave a note in the comments about a fun way that you've revealed character in one of your books, or you've read a book and you found, oh my gosh, this was a brilliant way to reveal something about the character. Don't forget that our Daybreak Press Book Awards submissions are open. They are open until the 31st of July. You can go to robata.org, find the Daybreak Press tab, and go to the Daybreak Press Book Awards. It will give you a form. You can fill out the form and submit your book right from there. It does take a digital copy of your book and 2 print copies. And we have all kinds of categories. So if you're an illustrator, wonderful. You can have your publisher or you yourself can submit your book. You can submit in more than one. So say, for example, you've written a children's book, you could submit it under Best Children's Book and Best Illustrations or Best Cover Design. So each one of those is a separate entry. But yeah, it's last year we had Last year we had a couple of books that submitted in different categories, and wouldn't have won in one of the categories because it was just too much competition, and it was just, it just happened to be that there was a book that stood out in that group, but in the other group it was their book was the one that stood out. So it's often a good idea to submit your book in different categories because your book has many facets to it and many great things about it. So once again, go to rabata.org and find the Daybreak Press tab, and you'll find that form, inshallah. All right. I guess we will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining us. Next week, we will be talking with Muti'ah. She is one of the winners of the Daybreak Press Book Awards. And I wanted to let you know that will be at 1 p.m. Central Time. Usually we broadcast at 2 p.m. Central Time. This one will be at 1 p.m. Central Time because she is in Malaysia. All right. Thank you guys so much. We'll talk to you next week on Thursday at 1 p.m. Central Time. Thanks so much. Assalamu alaikum. And don't forget to keep writing and revealing those great characters.